This is Gamevice for iPhone. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So this is a designed for Xbox device, specifically the Xbox Cloud Gaming Experience, which is kind of what our focus is. That being said, this is the type of device that will also work really well for other types of gaming experiences, such as Call of Duty Mobile, which has the controller support, and Gamevice works quite well for that. There's also an app that you can download that will kind of showcase and help you find other games that Gamevice is ready and going for. So this is made for iPhone, so this was the iPhone 13 Pro that I used this for, because, well, it's my primary phone device. You're going to be seeing initially some shots of kind of a little bit of the unboxing, a little bit of the controller itself, and then diving into gameplay and action so that you could see just what this has to offer. So the first thing to note is that I tried this with a wide range of cloud game streaming options. So anything that is Xbox, Halo, Forza, stuff like that, that is all being played through Xbox Cloud Gaming, which you can see in this menu here, wide range of different games. And then at the end, we're showing off Call of Duty Mobile so that you could see what a native in-action game is providing as well. So there's no real latency or anything like that, or I guess you would call it a low latency experience because it's directly plugged into the Lightning port of your iPhone. And with that, it also has a port at the bottom so that you can plug in an external Lightning cord if you want to get some charging going on at the same time, which is pretty helpful. So it's a pass-through charging option, which I think is pretty great. So this is also something that's very compact. It is really, really quite tiny, and it folds up in a way that allows you to basically just throw it in your pocket and go anywhere. It's a 0.36 pounds, so it's pretty tiny. You've got a 4 LED indicator thing on the right hand side, gives you some quick details that you need to know, and you can tell that it very much uses the Xbox controller layout, which I think is fantastic. Now with that, it would have been nice to have the share type button option. I don't know if it necessarily needs it, but that would have been just a cool extra. I should also mention that there is no headphone port. You're going to have to use your actual devices. I would imagine Bluetooth and or other options like you very likely have been using, since the iPhone does not support headphones at this current point in time. So this package is also neat because, as I mentioned, it is a design for Xbox and specifically the cloud gaming offering. So it does come with a month of Game Pass, but I could imagine you could also use this device for other cloud-based gaming experiences that you would come across and want to check out while you are using this said device. So as I was mentioning, it is something that does fold up, and I do find that that is really helpful for if I am wanting to go somewhere and I can just kind of shove it in my pocket. Because when it's all spread out, obviously the device gets to a fairly large size depending on your iPhone. Make sure that your iPhone is compatible with the, actual Gamevice, because there will be, sizes and stuff will vary, but like I said, I used the iPhone 13 Pro, and it connected very well. It looked very good, and it was a very clean overall offering. Now, I do somewhat wonder about the long-term, generally longevity of the back kind of straps that hold the two side controller pieces together. It is decently thick. It just feels like it's a bit of a thin fabric, and I'm, thinking if a younger individual gets their hands on this and maybe they pull a bit too much, that might be an issue. But I think for the most part, you really shouldn't have any issues with that long term. It should just kind of hold, your phone just kind of snuggles right in there. It's not too much of an issue to get everything to connect. The lightning port is clean on it. The top fits in there nice and snug. So I was generally really happy with the connectivity of this attaching to my phone and allowing me to enjoy these games really easily. Now, talking about the actual, kind of control aspect of the controller, it was decently ergonomic. I was a little worried, as I always am with these types of devices, but no, it actually felt pretty good on my hands. I did find myself kind of curling like my pinkies, though, a little bit. So it would have been nice to maybe have a bit more of a space. Like there is a space you can kind of find and hold, but I just felt like my pinkies kept going, elsewhere, which is a bit of a weird thing. But it is decently comfy and ergonomic. You could sit there in like a chair or somewhere on the go, or just, at a desk, and I think it would be decently comfortable for you to hold for extended periods of time without too much discomfort which is ideal for this type of thing, right? I've seen many mobile type controllers and they can be quite stiff, and I actually found this one to be a good balance of something that was, able to handle trips out on the go, while also being something that is, kind of comfy to hold on to, because sometimes they make them a little too tough, and you need that nice soft spot. So I also liked the triggers were decent. They could be a little bit larger, but I think they were fine. I got a good hold and control from when I was using things such as like the battle rifle or taking shots or driving cars. It was the right amount of sensitivity. The bumpers little bit narrow in terms of the design. They could have maybe had a little bit more of a smooth outness to them, but I think they handled very well too. All the buttons seem to have a good click, a good tap, a good feel. You can click in the left and right sticks. The D-pad feels tactile enough. The AXYB, that's solid. It definitely matches the Xbox controller, just kind of spread out at a distance, and I think that is definitely ideal for this type of experience. And it left open your different sound options and everything that you would expect on your phone, so it didn't really cut those off. It just nicely and snugly fits around your phone and allows you to have the benefit of an actual controller that is attached to your device. For the cloud gaming, I've played around with, the sort of thing where you take an existing Xbox controller and you kind of clip on the phone to it, and that's fine. But if you're wanting something where you can realistically take, this out on the go and kind of not have to have it out in your hands, this is a really, really good option. Because it is a little bit awkward to take a whole controller with you and then a clip and then put your phone into it. It may not be the worst of scenarios, but it is nicer when you have something like this where you've got these two little, control options that snugly fit together into a little square that you can nestle into your pocket. I think that's really great. There's also some grips that you can add as well. That's included in here. I didn't really care all too much for them. I think the regular setup was fine for me. But if you need a little bit more, that is something that does come with this particular package alongside the 1 month of Game Pass access, which is great if you are jumping into the service, because it's also, it's Game Pass Ultimate. So that's quite nice for those that want to get in there and see what the service has to offer. And I will say, for the cloud gaming on iOS, they have come quite a long way. It's really, really great. I was kind of genuinely surprised, and it felt so nice to play with controls that felt like actual Xbox controls. And having the whole design for Xbox thing, I think, is perfect for this type of device, because there's so many out there that do similar options, but they don't all feel right controller layout wise, or the sensitivity is not quite right. Whereas this felt natural to the point where I was almost felt as though I was using a regular Xbox controller. Obviously, you don't get like the intense ergonomics of the traditional series controller design, because, well, it's a mobile on-the-go attachment to your phone, right? But I think this is actually one of the few times that we get pretty close to getting that sort of offering, and me being genuinely satisfied with it in a high regard. I do think there is some work they can do in regards to further iterations of this particular design, just in regards to refining the buttons and, kind of the triggers and the bumpers. But I would say, for your thumbsticks, pretty dead on. They feel good. They feel comfy enough. I think the D-pad's well enough done. The buttons seem good. No real complaints there. Just if we could get, the whole share button thing going, I mean, that would be really, really cool, and a nice little extra option that could be present for this particular thing. So now we're kind of showcasing, you're going to see here, the Call of Duty mobile experience. So we were doing the cloud gaming, and if you're not familiar with Xbox Cloud Gaming, it's the streaming service from Xbox, where if you're into the top tier subscription at the moment, you are able to play games that you own to a limited market at the current time. So you get things like Halo, you get things like Forza, you get, any of their new releases that come out all the time. So you get all kinds of different things, car games, driving games, racing games, all kinds of things. And they're all just kind of really ready to go and waiting for you to have a nice controller offering. Whereas this is a game that you would download locally to your phone and play off of its own standalone app experience. So this is obviously a very well-loved game, and a game that I have a lot of trouble getting controllers to actually work with. It seems like the Bluetooth for me is very hit or miss. Now, I didn't have the best of matches, and I want to say that for any of the footage you've seen. Basically, I have to like put my arms around this like tripod, and that's how I record. So it's a little harder for me to hold everything together, but I think I keep the footage relatively smooth the whole time through. Just saying, it's a bit of work. You may not realize that. So if I'm not playing the best in any of the games, it is a little harder to like look over and get everything aimed in there. But yeah, kind of playing a game like Call of Duty Mobile with this control feels fantastic. The first match I played, I actually had like a nuke in it, which was fantastic. I definitely felt like a bit of a champ. And even here, you really feel like you are kind of blowing away the competition. I mean, it is supposed to put you in with similar, I guess you would say, input type character options when it comes to mobile. But yeah, I definitely think the Gamevice really does a good job for the natively downloaded games and apps that you would have on your phone, while also allowing you to really get that cloud gaming going on. Because obviously, with the focus of Xbox cloud gaming, that's what we're mostly talking about. But there are other streaming services that are providing games onto your phone, and there's going to be more down the road. This seems to have really good support. We've seen, well, I've seen other game vices in the past. We had someone review one for the channel many years ago, but you can definitely tell that there's been some good innovations. And I think that with further refinement down the road, we're going to have a really perfect offering. I would say even now, this is pretty much the perfect way to go for a mobile, quick, easy access controller option for your phone. We have seen a number of different partners take like a crack at this one to see what they can provide. But I would say form-wise, it fits nicely together. You literally could just have it in your pocket. No one would even notice, and then you could be like, okay, it's time to game. Pull it out. You've got an actual control scheme and layout of a controller that feels like your regular Xbox controller. And I think that's fantastic that we get that sort of multi-functionality that I think is really kind of essential for gaming with comfort. We're all kind of enjoying the infancy of the cloud gaming and mobile really starting to get better, comfortable options for controls. So to see something like this already where I'm like, okay, this is more than proficient. I actually really like using this, and I would use this, out on the go to enjoy the cloud gaming in a more comfortable way. Or if I was, having to go to a different room or wanted to go in the backyard and play some games, I would be like, okay, this works really well for it. It's compact, it feels nice, it's got some decent ergonomics to it that don't feel like they cause discomfort for me, which is very important. Just the pinky thing, I don't know. I feel like I need something else sitting down there that I can kind of throw my fingers on. I would say, other than that, my only real thing is just being like, I wonder about the backward straps and the long-term, the longevity of those ones, but in my opinion on those, I don't think unless you have a child kind of like pulling and, being overly intensive about it, I don't think you're going to have any issues long term. But it's just something that I see as like a possible stress weak point for this type of thing. But I don't foresee anyone having any problems with that. But these are just some things that they can adjust down the road. I'm very happy with the state of it at the current point in time. I think it absolutely delivered something that was great to use for my Xbox cloud gaming experiences. Something I'll definitely be using down the road because it's just so easy. There's really no work or effort involved in having this. It just plugs in. It just holds your phone and you're good to go. I guess you're only, the only thing that's going to be holding you back is your phone battery, I suppose, is going to be the limiting thing. But this controller, it just fits on there nicely, and you could just game as long as your phone goes, on running these games. You're not going to have any issues. And it was just a real pleasure to use this type of thing. I think even design-wise, aesthetically, it's pretty nice looking. I don't have any issues with it. I think you might get some eyes of people wondering, like, hey, is that like a Switch? Is that like a Steam Deck type thing? You'd be like, oh, no, it's just your phone, but with these, control options added to it. And I think that is really, really great. The fact that it hit the mark for all the little smaller things like the D-pad, like the thumbsticks, like the buttons, making it feel like a regular Xbox controller, but also going beyond that. And I'm very intrigued to see where similar designs will take us down the road going forward, see what kind of different advancements and changes they are going to make to adjust that. In the long run, like what kind of things are we going to see to further this experience? But it worked really, really well. I mean, you've probably been seeing the gameplay the whole time here of the different titles. It was great for shooters, it was great for driving, platformers, it was nice. I did some beat 'em ups, I did a little bit of dungeon crawling on the Minecraft dungeons. Obviously I can't sit here and test every single Game Pass title for it, but the ones I did try I thought were really good. And then of course I tried like the local games, mostly focusing on Call of Duty Mobile because I know that's the big hot one right now. Also like Minecraft, and I Minecraft both ways, but it just kind of worked well. I don't really have issues with it. It functioned. It seemed to be something that is sturdy, hardcore, and definitely helpful for making my cloud gaming feel a little bit more like my console gaming, because I think that is one of the hurdles we're seeing, is getting that experience to be about the same. So the Gamevice definitely did deliver for me, I'll say that for sure.